for a fleeting period, the carefully cultivated image held. Newsrooms across the UK were awash with stories of a royal reunion, a triumphant homecoming for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Yet, beneath the surface of this seeming success, a fragile construct was already beginning its swift and public collapse. The public image meticulously crafted by the Duke and Duchess of Sussex has, according to observers across the British media landscape, suffered a spectacular and potentially irreparable blow. What has been widely described as a scandalous episode of media manipulation has laid bare a calculated public relations strategy, intended to orchestrate a dramatic return to the United Kingdom, which then disintegrated into utter chaos within 24 hours. This implosion stems from the complete exposure of an exclusive, covert WhatsApp briefing group, managed directly by representatives from Montecito, leaving the British media establishment in profound fury. For years, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have consistently presented themselves as victims of institutional briefings and palace leaks, making the discovery of their own private press pipeline a particularly challenging revelation for the public to reconcile. What was initially presented to top-tier British journalists as a confidential stream for operational notes has instead revealed itself as a desperate campaign designed to exert maximum emotional and public pressure on King Charles and the British government concerning the couple's ongoing security demands. The clandestine communication channel, now fully exposed, was established and meticulously managed under the direct supervision of the Sussex's communications team. Its stated purpose was to provide trusted royal correspondents with early, authoritative information, fostering a sense of exclusivity and reliability. For a brief window, this strategy appeared to be functioning precisely as intended. Members of this private group received what were presented as official, palace-style operational notes, containing precise breakdowns of the couple's anticipated movements, their accommodation arrangements, and crucial details regarding planned family involvement. The initial briefing, disseminated through this channel, sent a significant ripple through newsrooms across the nation, detailing a monumental family visit to the United Kingdom, scheduled to commence around July 7, 2026. This was explicitly not framed as a routine solo trip for Prince Harry, but rather as a triumphant, emotionally charged homecoming. The briefing specified the Duke, the Duchess, 7-year-old Prince Archie, and 5-year-old Princess Lilibet would travel together as a complete family unit, marking their first such appearance in 4 long years since the late Queen Elizabeth's Platinum Jubilee celebrations. According to the leaked logs from this private group chat, the briefing unequivocally confirmed that the entire Sussex family would be accommodated at a secure royal residence, specifically as the personal guests of King Charles himself. This particular detail was strategically highlighted by their team as a monumental breakthrough in family relations, gaining particular significance given the couple's previous requirement to vacate Frogmore Cottage. The extensive itinerary provided was deliberately tied to a series of high-profile public events, specifically marking the official 1-year countdown to the upcoming Invictus Games, scheduled to take place in Birmingham in 2027. Major news organisations, operating under the assumption of receiving legitimate, authoritative information, immediately published prominent, front-page stories based entirely on these operational notes. These reports painted a hopeful picture of impending royal reconciliation, anticipated tender, grandfatherly moments between the king and his estranged grandchildren, and a dignified, stable return to the British public sphere. Journalists within this exclusive briefing group were, by all accounts, initially thrilled to have secured such a significant scoop, trusting the information implicitly. However, the entire narrative suffered a humiliating and catastrophic U-turn that left the involved journalists absolutely incensed at the blatant manipulation they had unknowingly facilitated. Within mere hours of the initial optimistic stories appearing in print and online, official confirmation emerged that the Home Office and the Royal and VIP Executive Committee, known as RAVC, had firmly rejected Prince Harry's latest legal demand for automatic, taxpayer-funded police protection during his private visits to his homeland. This administrative stance was entirely consistent with multiple previous court rulings on the matter and had remained completely unchanged since the couple's decision to step back from their duties as working royals in 2020. Upon receiving this definitive confirmation that their security demands would not be met, the tone within the secret WhatsApp group shifted instantly and dramatically from triumphalism to aggressive damage control. A rapid follow-up message was dispatched to the journalists, effectively retracting the original itinerary and stating that Prince Harry was now suddenly reconsidering the wisdom of bringing his wife and young children to the UK. The carefully orchestrated homecoming was abruptly thrown into absolute doubt, with conflicting reports rapidly emerging regarding whether the prince would now travel entirely alone for a severely shortened itinerary, or indeed cancel the family trip altogether. News organisations that had spent the morning publishing glowing accounts of a heartwarming family reunion were suddenly compelled to issue embarrassing, hasty public corrections, thereby exposing the volatile and unreliable nature of the information they had been provided. The British public, already thoroughly exhausted by years of persistent Sussex-related drama and conflicting media statements, was left utterly bewildered and cynical by the rapid reversal. Royal commentator Tom Sykes, who was personally included in the secret briefing group, subsequently issued a remarkably candid public apology to his readers, openly expressing his intense frustration. Sykes described the entire operational briefing exercise as a transparent, deeply cynical attempt to pressure a loving, vulnerable father into directly intervening in a complex government security decision, characterizing the maneuver as the absolute high watermark of Prince Harry's emotional blackmail. The sheer anger reverberating throughout the media landscape is not merely a reaction to a suddenly altered travel itinerary, but rather reflects a profound disgust at the perceived weaponization of young children as emotional leverage in an ongoing, high-stakes public relations and legal dispute. Critics across the spectrum have pointed out that the initial messaging deliberately dangled the heartwarming, media-friendly image of Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet finally reuniting with their grandfather. That exact image was then, it is argued, callously withdrawn the moment the desired administrative and legal outcome failed to materialize. Daily Mail royal editor Richard Eden noted that journalists had every logical reason to trust the highly specific operational notes provided by the communications team, given that nothing regarding the government's fundamental security policy had actually altered. The only real variable in the entire equation, he suggested, was the Duke's reaction, described as a spectacular tantrum, the moment the official rejection of his taxpayer-funded security demands was reaffirmed. This explosive exposure reveals what many now see as a repeating, highly destructive pattern of behaviour where announcements and calculated leaks are precisely timed to generate maximum public sympathy or institutional pressure. These carefully constructed narratives are then radically rewritten or abandoned when the strategy fails to yield the exact results demanded by the Sussexes. The bitter irony is glaringly obvious to all observers, as the very couple who spent years launching high-profile lawsuits and releasing media projects condemning the royal institution for alleged briefing wars are now caught red-handed running a selective, highly manipulative media pipeline of their own. This operation was, by all accounts, explicitly designed to reward chosen outlets with exclusive early access while tightly controlling the narrative to the detriment of objective truth. Furthermore, the chaotic timing of this security-related tantrum completely overshadowed the very charitable cause that Prince Harry continuously claims to champion above all else. The upcoming events in Birmingham were intended to honour and support wounded veterans preparing for the Invictus Games, yet the public discourse was entirely hijacked by the couple's personal grievances. By tying a highly anticipated, emotionally significant family visit so overtly to this ongoing legal hostility, the couple has, in the view of many commentators, effectively provided their harshest critics with an absolute masterclass in strategic entitlement. The trusted journalists who published the initial stories in complete good faith now feel deeply burned and exploited by a team they believed was providing legitimate logistical details, while the British public feels entirely manipulated by a series of engineered media crises. The already severely strained relationship between the Sussexes and the broader British public now appears to be completely fractured beyond any realistic hope of repair. This entire disaster must be viewed as a definitive, self-inflicted exposure of the cynical mechanisms that drive the couple's external operations. A secretive media group handing out elaborate operational notes that completely collapse into bitter recriminations within 24 hours does not convey a message of stability or a genuine desire for familial reconciliation. Instead, the entire messy saga screams of absolute desperation from a couple whose cultural currency and public influence appear to be rapidly diminishing on both sides of the Atlantic. The astonishing spectacle of their own selective media pipeline blowing up so spectacularly in their faces provides a rich, almost unbelievable irony that will undoubtedly damage their credibility for years to come. The leaked messages behind the aborted dramatic return did not deliver the intended narrative of a triumphant family homecoming or a path toward royal healing, but instead offered undeniable, written evidence that the tactical games and the media manipulation continue unabated. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex have, it is widely believed, sunk to a shocking new low, and the definitive proof is written indelibly in the history of the group chat, ensuring that any future claims of media victimization will be met with absolute skepticism from a public that has finally seen behind the curtain.